All right, let's dive into a really big question. What exactly is literature? Now, I know it's a word we all use, but its real meaning goes so much deeper than just the books on your shelf. And honestly, it might just change how you see the world.
So, when I say the word literature, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's probably a shelf full of old, maybe kind of intimidating classic books, right? But is that really the whole story? Or is literature something that's alive and kicking in our everyday lives? Let's find out.
Okay, so at its most basic level, the word itself actually gives us a big clue. It comes from the Latin word literatura, which pretty simply means writing formed with letters. So we're talking about the fundamental idea of any written work, whether it's a poem or a science paper. But that's just where it begins. This is where the definition gets really, really interesting. See, literature isn't just a random collection of words. It's like a mirror. It reflects a society's culture, its conflicts, its values, all the big stuff. It's basically a way for us to understand where we've been and to make sense of where we are right now. And here's a key point that a lot of people forget. Literature didn't even start with writing. For thousands and thousands of years, the most powerful stories were spoken, they were sung, they were passed down from one generation to the next. That oral tradition is just as much a part of our literary DNA as any printed book. So, with such a massive definition, how in the world do we even start to organize it? Well, one of the best ways is to look at its purpose. Is a piece of writing trying to teach us something, or is it trying to make us feel something? And that question leads us to a really helpful distinction. Think about the difference between, say, a car's instruction manual and a fantasy novel. One is designed to give you information and help you get a job done. The other is all about the experience, the entertainment, the journey itself. And that's the core difference between what we call applied literature and pure literature. Applied literature has one main goal: share information. The writer's fancy style or artistic flair just isn't the point. You know, when you read Darwin's Origin of Species or a book like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you're there for the knowledge, for the ideas. The message is absolutely king. But then, on the flip side, you've got pure literature. And here, the whole point is the experience. It's all about pleasure, entertainment, and emotion. When you read a poem by Keats or get totally lost in the world of Harry Potter, you're not really looking for a practical takeaway. You're there for the artistry, the characters, and that feeling it gives you. Okay, so we've got different purposes, but literature also has different structures, different forms. For centuries, really, storytelling has been built on three classic pillars. First up, we have poetry. This is literature that's literally playing with the sound and the rhythm of language itself. It's like concentrated emotion, using structure and beauty to create a really powerful feeling in the reader. I mean, think about how a single line in a poem can sometimes hit you harder than a whole chapter of a book. Next, we've got drama. This is literature that's meant to be seen and heard, not just read silently. A play is basically a blueprint for a performance, where actors bring a story to life through dialogue and action. It's literature designed to leap right off the page and onto a stage. And finally, there's prose. This is the one we probably run into the most. It's the ordinary language of storytelling, the sentences and paragraphs that make up our favorite novels, short stories, and articles. It's the framework for most of what we read. But wait, poetry, drama, and prose? That's not the whole picture, not even close. The definition of what counts as literature has been stretching and changing for as long as we humans have been telling stories. We have to remember that those classic forms we just talked about, poetry, drama, prose, they're mostly tied to the written word. But literature's roots, they go so much deeper. It all began with folklore. These are the foundational stories of a culture. The myths about gods and heroes, the local legends whispered from person to person, the fables told to kids at bedtime. This unwritten literature is the bedrock that so much written work is built on top of. So, just like literature has a past that came before the book, it also has a future that goes way beyond it. Our modern world has created completely new ways for us to tell stories. And that brings us to media. This is now considered the newest form of literature. Seriously, any work that tells a story but doesn't exist as a physical text, a movie, a website, a video game, even a radio show, can be seen as part of this huge expanding literary universe. So, we've covered the what and the how, but honestly, the most important question is still there. Why? Why do humans across every single culture and every period of history have this deep, undeniable need to create literature?
Well, when you really look at it, it seems to boil down to four fundamental reasons, four deep human needs that stories have always managed to fulfill.
First and foremost, entertainment. A good story gives us an escape. It provides pleasure, a sense of satisfaction, and a way to just step out of our own lives for a little bit. It is a fundamental source of joy, pure and simple. The second function is to offer aesthetic pleasure. This is all about appreciating the pure craft of it all. A beautifully written sentence, a perfect plot twist, a stunning line of poetry. It's that wow moment. It's art for art's sake.
Third, literature builds our awareness. It's like a window into other lives, other cultures, other points of view. Reading a story set in a different time or place literally expands our understanding of the world and our own place in it.
And finally, there's what you could call moral upliftment. The greatest literature doesn't just show us the world, it challenges us. It makes us question what we believe, wrestle with tough ethical questions, and ultimately, it helps us grow as people. So you see, literature is so much more than words on a page. It's a mirror of who we are, it's an art form, it's a source of knowledge, and it's a tool for becoming better humans. It's a core part of what makes us us. Which leads me to the final question for you to think about. What story has shaped your life?